Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, dear brothers and sisters, to another episode of Way to Behave. And with us, alhamdulillah, we have some beautiful guests. We have with us Brother Idris. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
How are you, brother?
Alhamdulillah.
Good to see you again. Barakallahu feek. And we have with us Brother Abdullah and Brother Muhammad. How are you both?
Alhamdulillah.
Very well, jazakallah khairan. I'm looking forward to this episode, inshallah ta'ala. And as we have done previously in the episodes, we have focused on some stories of the Quran, as well as focusing on some particular ayat which influence us, talking about the suluk or the behavior of a Muslim, encouraging us how to behave. What kind of human beings should we be? Now, in this episode, I want to focus on a story of the two sons of Adam alayhi salam. As we know, Adam alayhi salam was the first man, and the first woman on earth was Hawa, our mother. Every single human being who is on earth now came from these first two people, subhanallah. For this reason, we are all somewhere through generations, we have the same mother and the same father. Now, at that time, obviously being the first man and the first woman, there weren't many people on earth. So what happened was, it is narrated that every time Hawa, when she gave birth to twins on every single occasion, subhanallah. And this helped populate the earth. Now, it was also permitted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they were able to marry one another. Not the direct twins, but the twins from another pregnancy. Now, from two of the sons of Adam alayhi salam, there was Qabil and Habil. These of two, or Cain and Abel, as they say in the English. These were two sons of Adam alayhi salam. Now, obviously, as we mentioned, they were going to marry each other's sisters. Now, because there were some issues between them, in that one of them maybe wasn't as handsome as the other, and the other one didn't see the other sister as beautiful as he wanted her to be. So Qabil requested that he would marry his own sister from the same pregnancy. Now, this was something that was not the norm. You would marry from the other pregnancy. So that Adam alayhi salam said to them, based on wahi, that for this to happen, you both have to make a sacrifice. You both have to make a sacrifice. So Habil, he chose a good animal and he sacrificed the animal. Now at that time, to make a sacrifice, what you would do is that you go to a quiet place, make a sacrifice, and you leave it there. If it was accepted by Allah ta'ala, it would go into flames. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed that this sacrifice was accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, Qabil, unfortunately, didn't see the situation as it was, and therefore the sacrifice he gave was not deserving. So when he gave the sacrifice, it wasn't accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was said that Habil said to his brother, إِنَّمَا يَتَقَبَّلَ اللَّهُ مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will only accept from those who have taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So even from the beginning of creation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminded his creation that the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was a fundamental part of their worship and submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Qabil became angry, upset. He had a number of things in his heart. He had anger, he had arrogance, and he had jealousy. So eventually, subhanallah, it led to him killing his brother. This was the first shedding of blood on earth. Human being killing another human being. Immediately killing him, subhanallah, he felt regret. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed him an example of what to do with the body. A few days passed, he was looking at his dead brother. Adam alayhi salam said, "Where is your brother?" He responded, "He's not my business. You don't ask me about what my brother." Adam alayhi salam knew there was something wrong. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent two birds, two ravens. One buried the other. One was alive, one was dead. So Qabil saw that he was going to bury his brother. And this is how we know, subhanallah, that if a person dies, that they are to be buried, not to be cremated, not to be burnt and turned into dust. A'yadhan billah. It is the right of the deceased to be buried. So the thing I want to talk about, of course the story is very long, is the importance of keeping the family structure together, okay, and not allowing anger or jealousy or these diseases to fall in the heart. How do we keep the family together? What important ingredients are there? Obviously, not everybody will see eye to eye. And as we know in Islam, keeping the family together, the family structure together, is very important. Sometimes you hear people, I'm going to cut them off. This is a major sin. You're not allowed to cut the relationship of your family members. So what kind of things do we need to be aware of when keeping the family together? Remember compromise and being flexible. No.
And also, Sheikh Wassim, accepting the fact that we are diverse and we are different. And our differences, we continue, and we should live our differences together and accept the fact that we are different.
Yeah, very good, mashallah. Brother Idris, of course the family structure in Islam is extremely important. What kind of things can we or should we be doing to ensure that we stay together and don't allow little things to fester between ourselves?
I think that it's important to remember that there are exceptions whenever people usually hear this. There's sometimes people who don't know get a little bit taken aback that you're permitted to lie in Islam. And one of those times is whenever you want to bring people together. You don't to make it huge, but something small, and say, if, like you mentioned, if so and so says, "Oh, I'm cutting them off," say, "Why?" Just the other day they were talking good about you. How much they missed you.
Good.
So that they would think their heart will start going inclined. Really? They said that about me? So that you can start bringing people because a lot of times problems are misunderstandings, and these small things will end up breaking these misunderstandings, and the bond will come back together. So I think people need to try to. When you see something, as we always are told, try to help fix it.
Yeah.
In any halal way that you can.
Yeah, very good, mashallah. Abdullah,
yes.
The importance of the family structure in Islam.
Well, as a family member, if you were born, you have 4 brothers, 5 brothers, sisters, it's okay. So living a completable life together, accepting each other's mistakes, as brothers said, because the hiring or think that you are better than other makes you once arrogant, or maybe you want to try to take out mistakes of everyone doing. No, but if you accept it, they will feel love with you, and the life will go on just as simple as it has to be.
MashaAllah. As you mentioned, the brothers there, actually. Muhammad, please.
Yes, also I would like to add to Brother Abdullah, accepting and also focusing on what brings us together rather than what divides us apart. We are all, as we said before, we are all filled with flaws, and me as a partner, I'm not perfect, and the other partner is not perfect, so we should accept each other.
As you mentioned, Jazakallah khair, Muhammad, you mentioned having 4 or 5 brothers. What came into my mind is the story of Yusuf, alayhi salam.
Yes.
That his brothers had treated him so badly, and in the end Yusuf alayhi salam, that he forgave them. And the importance of the family structure and then coming together is so important. So this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, and anything mentioned in the Quran for sure is important, as well as this example here, subhanallah, in one brother killing another brother, a'udhu billah, the dangers of that. We also see on the flip side the benefits and the blessings and the goodness that comes out of maybe people are different, maybe the thoughts of some family members that maybe our father loves one of our siblings more than us, or maybe our mother prefers one of our siblings more than us. It's not for us to feel like that and allow the shaitan to fester these thoughts in our hearts and our minds, for them to have gaps between our own blood brothers and sisters. If Yusuf alayhi salam is an example for us that we should follow, then therefore, and without any doubt, we should remember that example. And we might not get on with all of our siblings, maybe we're closer to some than others, but always remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warned those who would cut the relations between themselves. And likewise, we find many examples in the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that, and in one example, that upholding the ties of kinship is not, for example, if somebody does something or somebody does something for you, that you give it back to them. This is not upholding the ties of kinship. The ties of kinship is you proceeding and doing something before somebody does something for you. It's not reciprocation because somebody was good to you, then you're good to them. No. You should all be racing to one another, to help one another, do you need any help? Whatever you can do. Okay, this is what it's all about in upholding the ties of kinship. Even if your family members are not Muslims, you still have the right. The mother has a right over you. The father has a right over you. Your siblings, they have a right that they hear Islam from you. They have that right. Imagine Yawm al-Qiyamah, that maybe they would come to you and they would say, but you didn't tell me about Islam. Why didn't you inform me about the religion of Islam? And you were a Muslim, you were living in our home, even within Muslim families. You knew the haqq, you knew the truth. You knew that maybe certain practices in your home weren't good. That maybe they're doing haram, or they were in bid'ah, in innovations into the deen. But you remained quiet. And on Yawm al-Qiyamah, they would say to you, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you inform me? So the family structure is extremely important, and it's a relationship that always needs to be worked on, day in, day out. Just as we mentioned in a previous episode of husband and wife, you always need to work with one another. We've come to the end of this particular segment, and inshallah ta'ala, brothers and sisters, I hope that you will join us after this short break, where we will continue taking some benefits from the story of Adam alayhi salam and his two sons. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, brothers and sisters, to Way to Behave. We were just before the break, brothers, barakallahu feekum, talking about the importance of the family structure. If I can go back to the story of Qabil and Habil, where they, of course, Qabil killed his brother, subhanallah, and there were three particular diseases that he had in his heart. One of them was anger, and this is something which the Prophet ﷺ said, "La taghdab," don't become angry because you lose control of yourself. The second one was a type of kibr, a type of arrogance that he had. But I want to focus on the third one, and that was the jealousy maybe that he had. And this in Arabic is a little more nuanced, in that it's not just simply translated into English, it's not as rich. You just say jealous. And jealousy, of course, is something which is blameworthy, it's not good. However, in Arabic, it is a little bit different. We have different categories. And I actually explained this to my own mother about the different types of jealousy and how Islam says that this is something which is praiseworthy. It's a good thing, and this is blameworthy, and it's not good. And she said, oh, I never looked at it like that. So I think this is a really good thing for us to discuss, inshallah ta'ala, the type of praiseworthy jealousy, if you want to call it, and the blameworthy, the sinful kind of jealousy. Now, we were discussing that before, Muhammad, and we said that there are two types, right?
Right. In Arabic, which we call the al-ghibta al-mahmuda, the praiseworthy jealousy, and also Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, لا حسد إلا في اثنتين. There's no envy or jealousy except for two. رجل آتاه الله مالا فهو ينفق منه. A man whom Allah gave a lot of money, so he gives it away to charity.
Sure.
And another man, Allah gave him knowledge, so he teaches people and he helps people.
Yeah.
So these are two types of praiseworthy jealousy.
Jayed. So the type of jealousy which is good is that type of envy in which you do not wish that blessing that has been given to another person be taken away from them. That Allah Azza wa Jal gave them that person that ni'mah, gave him knowledge or gave her wealth, and you would also like that knowledge. You would also like that wealth, okay? But you both have it. That's praiseworthy, that's okay. So you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, grant me the goodness that you have given that particular individual. So that type of envy or jealousy, if you like, is acceptable, it's okay. The blameworthy type of jealousy in which is looked down upon, in which the Prophet ﷺ said that there's a type of hasad which will ruin your deeds, just as the fire, it burns the hatab, it burns the wood. So jealousy can be something which can eat away at your insides. And it was one of the afflictions of Iblis. Not only was he arrogant, but he was jealous. He was jealous of Adam alayhi salam. That you created me from nar, you created me from fire, وَخَلَقْتُهُ مِنْ طِينٍ, and that you created him from mud, clay. He was jealous. I'm better than him. Arrogance. All of these diseases which we are to avoid. So it's important for us that if I see something that I like, what is the correct thing for me to say?
MashaAllah.
A lot of people, they say, you should say, MashaAllah, which, yes, is correct. However, the Prophet ﷺ also told us, if any one of you sees something from his brother or sister that they like, فَلْيُبَارِكْ, then let them say, Allah yubarik feek, or Allah yubarik laka fi hada. May Allah bless you with that. Okay, so this removes maybe the evil eye that maybe somebody has towards something. So you can say MashaAllah, but also, more importantly, you should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless what you have seen. So if we can say there's two types of jealousy. The type of jealousy which is blameworthy and sinful, that you wish that that blessing be removed from that person, okay, and that you have it. Even worse than that is that you wish that that blessing is taken away from that person, and you know that maybe you can't have it. So even you can't have it. So you want nobody to have it, which is the worst form of jealousy. That the type of jealousy that you don't want the person to have it, and even yourself, you can't have it as well. SubhanAllah. Idris, you wanted to say something, Ross?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask. I was waiting for you to finish.
Yeah.
I remembered the hadith, and I can't remember all of the wording about how the Rasul cursed a man who didn't have jealousy for his wife. What kind of jealousy? How does that fit into the form of jealousy?
Yeah. So this kind of jealousy is called like ghira. This is kind of a protective jealousy that you have over your own womenfolk. Okay, and this, if a person is upon fitrah, if a person is upon a natural state, they will have a natural love and protection for those whom are beloved to them, especially a type of love which is an intimate love, okay, in which Islam looks to protect, and Islam looks to give us guidance so that we don't become careless concerning those things. For this reason, or one of the reasons, is that the believing women are required to wear hijab, to protect their bodies and their inner selves with an outer garment, okay, so that they remain, for the husband and wife, that you have that relationship between yourselves, not to display your beauty to others. That the man who has that, is in a natural state of fitrah, will naturally feel like that. But a person who has that protective jealousy, which has been kind of tainted and maybe affected by other things, they don't care about their womenfolk. If she dresses in a particular way and other people admiring her, other people looking at her, and it's like, I don't care about that. Yeah. This is something that we must be very, very careful of. SubhanAllah, it's a very, very important point. And again, it opens the topic of the different types of feelings that we have and how detailed and how beautiful Islam is. That we have not only the rights of, salah, fasting, prayer, hajj, zakah. There's also, it deals with the psychology of a person, in how we think, in how we're going to interact with other people and our feelings. All of these things are taken into consideration. And if a person remains upon the pure fitrah, then inshallah ta'ala the person will be able to uphold those good traits. However, if the fitrah, that natural inclination, that natural state that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us all in, every single human being, if it's tainted, then you'll find that person will take a path other than what Allah wants from them.
Just to add to that, how does someone find a balance between having a ghira for your wife and not letting it go? How some men will go to controlling, where out of jealousy they want to be, they have certain behaviors that's not really, I think, a good thing that leads to the ghira. It's kind of going too far.
Yes.
I think some people don't understand the difference, especially coming from the West, because when they hear jealous for your wife, they automatically think that he's going to be, who are you talking to? What's going on? He's going to be all, watching her like a hawk, and this is kind of going too far. I don't think that's what it means in Arabic.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, again, there's a balance in that. Now, with that protective jealousy, okay, some unfortunately have misunderstood it to the extent that, if they go out with their wives and they go to the supermarket or they go to the shop, or maybe the husband is at work, for example, and then the wife wants to go outside and buy some things. Okay, that's normal, it's natural. This is what was done at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, that the husband would have this kind of extreme thinking of what protective jealousy is, that his wife can't go to the shop and ask for something because somebody would hear her voice. This is this is kind of a warped way of thinking of what protective jealousy is. Okay, it's perfectly fine. Okay, for example, for a husband and wife to understand that, you know, there are times when she needs to go out and she needs to purchase some items from the supermarket. Okay, so we need to be careful not to go to extremes so that we don't suppress and oppress the rights of other people. We want people to feel comfortable in their lives. Not, for example, that, you know, we can never go outside because somebody might see your fingernail, okay, or somebody might see your eyelash or something like that. You know, the person has become very paranoid concerning this issue. So it's a fair point, and I think how to answer that really is to say that, you know, that the custom generally would be a guide for us, Islamic custom, of course, in how we interact with one another. And of course, the Prophet ﷺ and his wives, the Ummahat al-Mu'mineen, the mothers of the believers, and the Sahabiyat, that they would be a guide for us in understanding what this type of protective jealousy actually is. There were certain Sahabiyat who realized that their husbands maybe were a little bit more protective over them than others. I mean, that's natural. Not all of us are the same. But as long as it doesn't go to extremes where it kind of makes people feel uncomfortable, okay, that you can't even go outside, that you feel that the eyes of your spouse is looking upon you, how you're moving, how you're walking, okay, you know, you need to get rid of that, okay, and of course it's a long process, so you need to be shown and explained how to behave when going out. So these are kind of finer points which we really need to think about. But again, back to the issue of jealousy and the detail that Islam gave to us. Again, I say alhamdulillah, may Allah be due all praise in that such details have been dealt with, in that every good was mentioned to us and every harm was also forbidden, and the different nuances and types of jealousy were mentioned to us. Okay, it's not just very simplified yes and no, you can do this and you can't do that. We should really feel honored, we should feel thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They guided us to this beautiful deen. And when they're about to enter the paradise, what do they say? Alhamdulillahi alladhi hadana li hadha wa ma kunna linahtadiya lawla an hadana Allah. All praise is due to Allah who guided us to this. And it was only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who guided us to this beautiful deen of Islam. May Allah allow us to remain steadfast.
Ameen.
Brothers and sisters, we have come to the end of this very beautiful episode where we're talking about the importance of the family structure and then speaking about some of those diseases which may fall in the hearts of some, like jealousy, and how that can break up the family. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us all united. Allahumma ameen. Barakallahu feekum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.